From the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight.
Welcome back to Broncos Country Tonight. The season is here. That's right. This is training camp week. Over the next several weeks, we'll be breaking it all down for you right here on Broncos Country Tonight. You can also check us out on our radio show, broncoscountrytonight.com. But Benjamin, we're all very excited about it. Russell Wilson, new head coach, a lot of electricity around the building. How you feeling, man?
I am feeling great. No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm excited. I'm super excited. Football back around is always great and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that there's there's kind of a new sea breeze that has blown in from the Seattle area. His name is Russell Wilson, and he is definitely bringing some optimism to the outlook for this team this season. And of course, we got a new energetic head coach, and Nathaniel Hackett, who's kind of kept everything fun, and that's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting to see kind of training camp be different from the last couple of years from Vic Fangio's we'll call it stoic style versus Nathaniel Hackett's very outgoing style, very energetic, very engaged. So. Russ has already got the "Let's Ride" mantra going on. I'm not sure if that's a nod to Montel Jordan or not, but we'll figure that out along the way. But I'm ready for it. I'm ready for camp. I'm ready for people to put the pads on. The pads start popping.
Yeah, it's funny with training camp, and this is, I believe, my 13th training camp for the Broncos. And it's always interesting because you get into it, you're all excited, and some of it's kind of a bit walkthrough, right? I mean, once in a while there are some big moments, some big passes, those kinds of things. Mm. And then the very next thing is I can't wait till the pads come on. And the very next thing, I can't wait till they play a preseason game. And then of course I can't wait till the regular season starts. So we get very excited as each sort of marker
stage,
happens. But let's go ahead and start here with obviously the biggest storyline is the revamped offense. No question about it. You got a guy who's an offensive coordinator out there in Green Bay with a very successful offense with Aaron Rodgers, coming here to Denver as your new head coach, calling the plays. Justin Outten is his OC. Russell Wilson is your quarterback. So from what we've seen over the last several years in training camps, from the offense is going to be dramatically different.
Well, yeah, the focus appears to be different. At least the media focus has certainly been different so far, focusing on the offensive side of the ball. The Denver Broncos have been a good football team the last couple of years. They just come up short offensively, and now you've got a quarterback that brings a credibility with him, a quarterback that is capable of scoring points, a quarterback that has been to the top of the mountain multiple times. So, I think that there's an expectation here. We've talked about on this show, the magic number is 24. 24 points a game. Gets you in the playoffs, 24 points a game. You don't get it, it keeps you out of the playoffs. Every team that was in the NFL playoffs last year except for one scored 24 points a game. No teams that scored 24 points didn't make the playoffs. So the Broncos, despite all their defensive excellence over the last couple of years, we've seen what happens if you are unable to score points. Doesn't matter how good you are on defense. So I think bringing in Nathaniel Hackett, having a renewed focus on the offensive side of the ball, having an energy, a collaborative work environment, all those things that maybe have been missing the last couple of years, we're hoping with this new young coach that works out.
Yeah, and I mean, as comparison, the Broncos have been hovering around or just slightly under 20 points per game. Even a couple seasons ago, 17 and change per game. So, again, nothing you have to tell Broncos fans who have watched any of the games. They know that. And there's a certain level of competitiveness, especially in the regular season, that you get when your offense is prolific like that, when your team can score at will 24-plus points per game, because that means you're going to be in all of these games kind of no matter what happens. If you have a defensive breakdown, a special teams breakdown, your offense can keep you in some of these games. And of course, the Broncos have struggled with that. Now, one of the things that we're going to be watching for right off the bat is going to be the offensive line. A lot of competition up there. And in fact, I'd say right now, as we sit here and we've talked about it on the radio show, Garrett Bowles is probably the only guy that we for sure know is starting on the offensive line at his specific position.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for training camp storylines, the offensive line should be it, just because there is so much of a state of flux there. There are some guys there that have some that are returning starters, but they're not guaranteed those spots. And there's challengers there, and there are bodies there to challenge them. I think it's a good thing. I know you hate quarterback competitions, but I
like competition in everything else. I just don't like quarterback.
I like competition in everything. I think competition breeds excellence, and so it gets the best out of you because you got to beat the other guy to get the job. And so I'm okay with it. Like I love competition. I love pushing guys, even guys that are incumbent starters. Guys like Cush and Reisner that are incumbent starters are going to get pushed by some of these other guys. They're not guaranteed their jobs. So, I like that. I think that's good. I think that's good for people. I think it's a good motivator. And I said, like I said, competition, I think, makes us all better, if we're all making sure that we're always all at our best because, there's always a head on a swivel, a guy about to take my job. I think it makes everybody better.
It is cliche and platitude season, so I can appreciate the competition makes us all better. Kidding aside, defense, I think the biggest question comes in. We can get to specifics on battles and all those things. It's just what's it going to look like with Vic Fangio no longer here?
Yeah, and Ejiro Evero has studied under some of the greats. He studied under Monty Kiffin. He studied under Wade Phillips. He studied under Brandon Staley, Raheem Morris. And so, like, Brandon Staley, obviously, the Vic Fangio school. Ejiro Evero has seasoning in all of those styles. And all those styles are wildly different. Monty Kiffin, the architect of the Tampa 2. Wade is the, cover zero, bring the house guy. Vic is like, don't send anybody. I'm dropping everybody back quarters guy. And Raheem Morris is kind of a malleable two deep man under, cover 3, rotational defensive mastermind. So I think that Ejiro Evero has experience in a lot of different defenses. It's going to be interesting to see what he brings to the table, what he prefers, and what kind of works out for him, what his style is. Vic has been calling defenses for 40 years. Ejiro's never called one. So it'll also be interesting to see if there's any problems with that, how quickly he kind of gloms onto that, and how he notices offensive tendencies and is able to get the guys into the right place.
Specifically on the defensive side of the ball, not a ton of competition for what we perceive as starters, but some of the backup positions and maybe rotational positions, there's some intrigue. I'd start with the pass rushers as one of the more interesting ones for me, because if Nick Bonitto, the Broncos' first pick in this last draft, second rounder, can maybe take a leap forward from what the expectation is a bit of a, hey, we'll get him in, we'll kind of work him into the rotation, because right now Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory are expected to be starters, but if Nick Bonitto shows something early on, well, that could change things a little bit. Maybe you get a chance to put him on the field a little bit. Also, Baron Browning is expected to work in at outside linebacker, pass rush. So for me, there are some fun battles, that kind of thing, but the pass rush is the one I'm going to be staring at the most.
Well, the backup pass rush is certainly going to be one of the battles on the defensive side.
Especially with Randy Gregory.
Gregory on the pup, and that's going to give these guys a little more opportunity to shine. And that, by the way, if you listen to Broncos Country Tonight, you knew that Randy Gregory move was coming, you knew the Billy Turner move was coming. Neither one of those should surprise you, and neither one of them are what I would call concerning at this point. It's just a standard practice. If you put them on the pup now, then you have the opportunity to do things later. If they step foot in camp, you can't ever put them on the pup. So it's kind of an accounting issue, a paperwork issue with the league. That said, they want to bring Randy Gregory along slow. They got the young bucks in the background they'd like to get some extended looks at, and I think that's going to be beneficial for everybody. I don't think that there's much on the defensive side that's up for competition on the starting side, except for safety opposite Justin Simmons and the inside backer spots. So Kareem and Caden Stearns will battle for the other safety spot and the inside backer positions with Josie, Singleton, and Jonas Griffith headlining that group.
Yep. But again, some of that's rotation anyways. So what's considered a starter, who's playing the majority of snaps, could be game in, game out kind of a changing situation. And once again, a lot of these guys are going to be playing special teams too. So they're a factor on that. That's the last thing I want to get to here is Dwayne Stukes. Love what he said during the press conferences, like the energy he brings to this team. Can special teams be more than just not a liability, right? I mean, like it was before, it was like just clear that bar of not being a liability. Mm-hmm. The Broncos got to graduate from that. And that's what has been such a low expectation bar we've set for special teams over the last several years. It's got to be more than that. Will we see that this training camp? Well,
that's been the bar for the offense and special teams.
True. Very true.
Just don't mess this up for the defense. And unfortunately, the margins are so thin that often it did get messed up. Either the offense couldn't score or the special teams was giving up plays that it shouldn't. And that's the thing. We got another coordinator there. It's a special teams coordinator who's never done it before. What does he bring to the table in terms of cleaning up the mess that has been special teams the last couple of years? They bring in a new returner, and they got a couple of different guys in Trey Quinn and Montrell Washington they drafted that they're going to try out in those return spots. And then, the kick punt coverage games, those have been problems. I mean, McManus has been solid in the kicking game, and the punting game with Sam Martin, even though they brought in a challenger, has been fine. But it's been the coverage units that have been a problem. And so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do to fix those coverage lapses that they've had.
I mean, I appreciate where he's coming from, where he wants to make special teams a priority. Of course, when you're the coach, you want that to be the case.
Right.
How do you go about making that buy-in from the rest of the players in the building? How do you do that?
Well, I think you got to put on the tape from last year. You got to put on the tape from the last couple of years and say, here's where we messed up. We can't do this. We can't be a net negative on the game. And it doesn't matter if you're playing for some of you guys, you're not going to be playing on offense or defense.
Right.
You got guys ahead of you. This is your chance to shine. And then you put on the tape of Terrell Davis and you say, look, this is where this guy went from being a special teamer to being a Hall of Famer. getting on special teams and making your mark right there, not messing up, not blowing your assignment, not getting outside your lane, those kinds of things, doing what you're supposed to do. And if you can do those things, you can move yourself up if you're a bottom of the roster guy. And if you're a bottom of the roster guy, I mean, your job's always on the line.
All right. Those are some of the fun training camp storylines. Of course, we'll have Steve Atwater on the next edition of Broncos Country Tonight, the TV show. As always, check us out on the radio, Broncos Country Tonight on KOA weeknights from 6 to 9 p.m. For Benjamin Allbright, I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight.
Denver's going to win! You can stand up and salute in Denver, and you got the world champions that live in your town.